Hey guys, this is Coach Marco Robert, and thank you so much for checking out my channel today. Guys, today I want to talk to you about how to actually identify the best target market for you. Hey guys, this is Coach Marco Robert, and today I want to go in depth on this idea of identifying the best target market for your business. You might have heard the term before, how to find your niche, how to find your avatar, right? Or how to define your best target market. Those are all synonymous. So, finding the best target market for you is actually kind of the first step to starting a business. And it's funny because so many people don't do this. So many people actually start a business simply by saying, well, I'm just going to go in that business because I'm going to go in that business, right? You need to understand first that there's a huge difference between a business person and an entrepreneur. See, the average business person will go out of business very quickly because the average business person is nothing more than a normal person who owns a business instead of working for the man, right? They don't really care for the world. All the bad things that people have heard about businesses is because of business owners. Entrepreneurs are very different. Entrepreneurs, by the way, the term entrepreneur means to undertake. An entrepreneur is someone who undertakes to find solutions to problems in this world. So an entrepreneur is somebody who's devoted to creating solutions. So before you can create a solution, you need to stop thinking about yourself and you need to start thinking about who are you going to create those solutions for. So defining your target audience is like the first step. You don't have a business until you have a target audience. It messes with me how many people actually don't understand that. Like, there's so many business owners out there who simply don't get that. The first thing is you have to define a target market. Who are you going to work with? That's the first step. Now, how are we going to define those people? Well, the first step is this. Depending on your business, maybe you need to look at a certain geographical area, right? So what's the geography? My God, I can't speak English today. What's the geography? Let's say, for example, if you own a restaurant. Well, if your restaurant is located in Cincinnati, you're probably not going to serve food in Austin, Texas. Okay, so you need to define a geography. Now, usually we know, in the case of restaurants, that most people are willing to travel about 3 miles to go out and eat at a restaurant. So you need to look at the people who live in that geography. Are they your target market? I remember years ago, I was having dinner at an Indian restaurant in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it was a brand new Indian restaurant. And I'm having a conversation with the guy, the owner, because I said, "Hey, why did you decide to start an Indian restaurant in Scottsdale?" Well, he said, because we thought it was an upper class. And I said, "Okay, that's good. Now, if you want to serve the upper class people, maybe your restaurant needs to look like you want to serve the upper class people." See, this guy had started an ethnic looking Indian restaurant. You understand? Like, you can own an Indian restaurant for the Indian people, so it looks very ethnic, right? Or you can own an Indian restaurant for the upper middle class business people. It's going to look completely different. You understand that, right? So this guy wanted to attract the upper middle class business people who live in Scottsdale, Arizona, but he designed his restaurant to look like an ethnic Indian restaurant. His staff didn't even speak English. All of his staff was Indian, speaking Indian. You understand? So there was a clash because the guy did not understand. So I said, well, do you realize that your restaurant looks like a place where Indians would go, and there's no Indians in Scottsdale? Like, there's literally no Indian people in Scottsdale. Indian people live in Phoenix. So that's why you find most of these ethnic Indian restaurants in the south of Phoenix, which is probably 20 miles away. And the guy was like looking at me like, oh my God, why didn't someone tell me this before? You understand? Like, you when you start a business, you need to understand who you're going to start the business for. Now there was before COVID a great Indian restaurant in Scottsdale that actually served the upper class business crowd. But the design of the restaurant was completely different. The menu was completely different. The portions were different. You understand? It was designed for an upper class business crowd. And that restaurant was one of my favorite restaurants for several years until COVID happened, and then they sadly had to go out of business just recently. But you understand the point, right? When you are defining your target market, you need to understand these variables. And the first variable is, within the geography. If you are in the restaurant business, you're going to look at geography. If you are in the landscaping business, you're going to look at geography, okay? Now, if you sell software, geography is probably not that important, okay? So that's the first factor, geography. The second factor is demographics. Demographics. So who are the people? Are you going to attract male, female? What age group? What income size? What career? What bracket? What education level? You understand? Those are called demographics. So you need to understand who is actually going to be attracted by your offer. Who should you target? Who's a good market that actually you can actually service better than anybody else and help better than anybody else and then profit from it better than anybody else? You have to think about that, okay? And then the third category is called psychographics. Now, a lot of people don't understand psychographics, but psychographics is more like about tastes. It's about tendencies, likes and dislikes. Psychologically, you could say, you know what, I'm gonna target young women between the age of 25 and 35. Okay. Now, are they liberal or are they conservative? You understand? Those would be completely different audiences. They would be completely different target markets. For some business, it might be important to define the psychographics. For other businesses, not important at all. For some businesses, it might be important to define the demographics. For other businesses, not important at all. For some businesses, it is imperative that you understand the geography. For other businesses, it's not. Like, let's just look at my business. I remember when I started my consulting practice years and years ago, I actually hired a coach and we were talking about that. And he said, well, we need to define the demographics, Like basically the guy was reading from a book, okay? So he did not have any experience, but he was telling me, who's your target market? What's your age group and what do they do? And I played with that for a while and then I realized, you know what? It doesn't make any difference if I work with a 25-year-old liberal person who owns an art studio, or if I work with a 65-year-old conservative old guy, churchgoer who owns a manufacturing company. It doesn't make a difference if the company that I work with makes $500,000 a year or if they make $50 million a year. So the demographics are not important for me. What's important in my business is psychographics. Because what I do is I help people who kind of have an itch. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter what kind of business you're in, it doesn't matter, pretty much nothing matters except, do you have an itch? Do you feel like there are some problems in your businesses that you haven't been able to solve? And do you feel like they need to be solved ASAP? If you think like that, I'm the best person to actually help you. So now that I understand that, and by the way, it took me years to figure this out because none of my coaches were telling me this. None of my mentors were telling me this. I don't think I read a single book that was telling me this. It took me years of practice and efforts to finally figure out that if you're in my business, the one most important thing that you look for in a target market is a psychographic. And that psychographic is a need to change. I call it a niche. People have a niche. They have a very important and immediate need to change, right? So that's kind of how you figure out your best target market, your best audience, your best niche, your best avatar. I hope you enjoyed today's videos, guys. And if you did, make sure that you watch the next video that's about to start here. Also, make sure that you click the like button and subscribe to my channel, because I do these videos on a regular basis. And by the way, if you want to be notified every time I release a video, just click the little bell icon at the bottom of the video here, and then we'll make sure that you actually get notified every single time. And make sure you leave some comments. I read the comments and then I engage with you guys. That's a lot of fun. So this is Coach Marco Robert. See you next time. Take care.
Guys, this is Coach Marco Robert. Remember, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you're going to keep on getting what you've always gotten. Click on the next videos and continue your education.